Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 2nd of November to the 8th of November. First, for the videos that I thought were decent. Yeah, pretty good. I enjoyed them. This first one is from AnimetalViking. Had a new concept album. He doesn't put these out very often, so I'm cool with covering them. I think I did cover his previous one, I believe. But this one's for ReZero. And he focuses mainly on doing death metal and hardcore, black metal. I think he said black and death metal is kind of the main two. I will admit a lot of the information and the talk about the various bands really flew over my head. I think I was going into this video with kind of different expectations. I was kind of, when I was picturing a concept album, I was kind of expecting a little less originality and more taking a bunch of songs and making kind of as and this song represents this aspect of the show and this and this, choosing very particular songs, whereas AnimetalViking mainly is trying to give you the idea or the impression of the kind of songs and the kind of vibe, and he splits it into the music part, the singer, the narration and singer part, as well as the album cover and stuff like that, and kind of giving which I thought it was different and interesting. I just think that he's so into this genre and subculture that a lot of it goes completely over my head. I'm just oh wow, and I felt like a lot of the time I was mostly engaged with the video when the AMV parts were happening, which he has a different editor making for. I don't know if they say that he edited the video entirely as well as the AMV parts, this particular editor. And I did notice that there's a couple of moments where when Animetal is on screen, his voice is desynced to him talking, and it's a little unfortunate because there's several moments where he's using very specific hand gestures or whatever, and it's a full second behind of him talking. So it was a little distracting, and it was hard for me to pay attention to what he was saying, on top of not being fully engaged with the subject matter in the same way. That is, you can fix that. It is annoying. You have to if you're using Premiere, you just kind of unlink the audio and video together, separate from each other. You can just kind of move the audio to make it a little synced. It's happened with Digest all the time, and it's a real pain in the ass. And you could it might have also been an issue where it gradually gets more and more desynced. So every time you cut, you have to resync it, and you have to shift it back over a little bit. It's really weird. I don't know precisely how it happens, but it's happened occasionally on Digest, very randomly. So I mean, if that's the case, I would suggest just paying a little more closer attention to that for some of these. But the AMV sections themselves are gorgeous. I think they're really cool. I think it's very clearly using a lot of the same kind of clips from ReZero. You use that shot of the dog, the silhouette of the dog and the beast thing multiple times. It didn't feel like it had. I think they all kind of blended together. They're all using a lot of similar techniques, which all look gorgeous. I think the show, you really have fun with it, and you use the different opacity layers and things like that. They look fun, and I do think it was really fun, interestingly synced with the music choices he had. Which, speaking of the music choices, I like the music choices. I'm not a big fan of this. I don't want to say I'm not a big fan in the sense that I don't like it. I don't listen to it very often. When I have listened to it, I do enjoy it. And I haven't seeked it out myself or anything, but I would have appreciated. I think there's something up with the playlist or something like that. I would have wanted a playlist of the songs that you use, and maybe having a separate YouTube playlist of the songs that you use. Let me check on my computer again, because I did this on my phone and I did this on my phone and it wasn't working. So the playlist brings you to a single video, which is an album, or it's one song. It's one song, I guess. I don't know. It just didn't bring me to a playlist per se. Maybe you don't have it as I said, as unlisted or something. Stop. I'm sorry. This happened several times too when I was trying to test. I was trying to get the playlist to work, and then you click on AMV song playlist in this, and it says the playlist does not exist. So I would love that, so I could actually listen to all of the songs, and I don't know, I would have enjoyed that a lot. So just letting you know, it's not working, at least on my end. Doesn't seem anyone in the comments are mentioning it either. Maybe. Yeah, no. Oh well. But I do appreciate the AMV compilation that your editor uploaded. That was great. That's a good way for me to like try to listen to them all in batches. Although they're only like snippets of the songs, right? And I can't listen to like the whole. Like I was expecting going into this as like the as a concept album, like here's the album, like the types of songs there are, and this kind of represents the different aspects or different moments in the show. But you go a lot further beyond with that, where you're really trying to imagine a realistic concept album and create and get hiring people, like hiring certain people. And there's moments that kept getting brought up of this particular band that I guess there's some rough history, or you don't actually want to work with these people directly, but your point is that you want to find someone like them, right? And or there's one point where it's like, well, obviously they're not around, and I'm like, well, this is all hypothetical. Like the band may not be around, but I imagine the idea of a concept hypothetical album is like, I mean, just assume that they are around, right? It's like, are we going through, it was towing this weird middle ground where it's not in the, it's trying to be as grounded in like, oh, is this possible to make, without actually going so far as to making any of it, you know? And there's a selection and a thought, that kind of a what if process, but I don't know. And then that's not a bad thing. I do think it creates for a very interesting video, and not a very predictable one either. Even beyond the fact that I have no idea about this subject matter at all. So I don't have, it's like, why isn't this song on there? I have nothing like that or anything. It's an interestingly crafted video. I wasn't expecting any of it really. And again, I think the AMV interludes are really entertaining. And the song choices in particular. Yeah, I just would like to see some of those other things about it. Sorry if I'm a bit more critical of the video, I suppose, but I hope that's useful feedback for you or something. I've voiced this before, but I really do love this this concept that you do, and do appreciate you adding me and letting me know about these certain things, because I do find them interesting. But yeah, cool stuff. I'm talking about another Lost Pause video. You know, he usually just does his thing, uploads just a collection of meme reactions and things like that, and he does his thing. He has fun, right? But this did seem kind of like a different video from him, and it is. He dresses up and has like a suit on, and has like the kind of a green screen background, and doesn't do too many fancy things really. He has a couple visual aids for certain things, but doesn't address anybody in particular or go after anyone. But he's just generally talking about negativity, I guess, doing what he does. It Gets Too Much is the name of the video. A pretty powerful thumbnail too, just like, it really is palpable, because I imagine he gets this a lot, of the just, you suck kind of thing. I've had my criticisms of Lost Pause as well, but I don't think it necessarily has to do with him being cringe or not funny, so much as it always just like, this is a weird choice, or I would rather you not having that kind of content out there, or spreading some misinformation potentially, whatever. I think when he just is entertaining people and having fun, it's great. I think he's actually really good. And obviously, when you do something for that long, you get better and better at it. And I think he's grown to be really good at it. Not that I'm like eagerly watching every video of his, but I do respect the grind. I do respect the amount of work he puts into it, and how long he's been on the platform by now. And so he's able. I like that he really directed this at aspiring YouTubers and being like, look, you're gonna have to have nerves of steel when it comes to this. And he's like, even if I get these for years and it doesn't usually faze me, sometimes it gets me. Sometimes the little chinks and whatever. And I felt that as a creator myself, right? And like, there are occasional comments that like people are just not into it and everything like that, or but like and for some reason it on the face of it, it feels like it negates all of the positive feedback you already got on it, which is like kind of dumb. But it does affect you, and I did appreciate him talking about it in this way. I feel like he may have talked about it before. I'm not sure. That doesn't matter in that regard. But yeah, either way, I do think I appreciate him talking about it. Took it fairly seriously, but still kind of remained authentic to himself. He wasn't trying to like force anything about this, or I think he did it in a good way. Yeah. I liked the video. I appreciate he put that out. He put that out. Akidearest had a Squid Game in real life kind of video. I imagine a lot of people in this space are doing something similar. I'm sure I think it was funny with Mr. Beast. He's like painting the entire like a real set for it, where not even the official Squid Game series did that. They had that blue screen, and somebody replied that like, dude, you're going even further than these guys did. And he's like, lol. Fair. But yeah, Aki did kind of a game with a bunch of her fellow like vloggers, streamers, and things like that. And I liked the approach of the aesthetic of this being a Japanese TV show with like a narrator kind of like hyping it at the beginning and at the end mostly. And then the game in the middle is very economically filmed. Like it's mostly one shot, and you can, they're pointing out all the different things. She's not making this like incredibly. She's not trying to recreate Squid Game or in the same way, like trying to make it as good or whatever. It's just more like the appeal of watching a game like this is fun, and I think they have pretty authentic costumes. I liked the introducing all of the players at the beginning was really nice, and the different stats is kind of funny. I thought that was a smart idea, because otherwise I wouldn't have had like an attachment to anybody except like Joey or whatever, because I've just seen Joey. I'm just used to Joey and everything. But there was a couple characters in there that were really interesting, and you're able to get a little bit of, and they were able to shine through. It's a nice collab in that way. I also like that Aki really doesn't take much of the spotlight at all in this video. Like, she's not even the one narrating it. She does have this lead at the end with the sponsor, and like she's having the whole group and kind of is like, all right guys, tomorrow you're gonna do that, and she's she's the leader in this, but she's not taking the main character spotlight type of thing. She's just one of the players. She gets knocked out like kind of in the middle of it or whatever, and it's fun. And I just think that was a good approach too, because I feel like some people could make it about themselves or whatever, and I think that was smart of her, that I appreciated. And the game was fun. It was fun to watch. But I don't know. I just appreciated this. And this does seem to be one out of several games. So I think that was really cool that she didn't try to cram everything Squid Game into one video, because it could be a little too long, or each game might be a little too shallow or things like that. But I think this is a good approach to split it into multiple videos. And, of course, you play the algorithm. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. You can just do Squid Game multiple times. But I think that was a decent choice too. So I just thought this was pretty well made, and I enjoyed my time. It was a good time. Saberspark covered Me. And look, I have to, when I was watching this video, which is a very vanilla analysis of like what happens in the Me music video, I feel like none of us actually went ahead and did this. Maybe some of us talked about it or something. I don't know. Probably way back then, like in 2014 or 15 or something. Like, I'm probably just misremembering. But like, there was something kind of oddly refreshing about how I was gonna say generic, really, of this kind of review it is. He really is just going through the points, analyzing the little bits. He was like, it's his addiction, and and it seems so obvious and to on its face, because I mean the music video really doesn't hide anything. It's kind of obvious what it is. But I did appreciate that he discussed it in the pretty well-mannered pace and lighthearted, and I don't know, the professional way that Saberspark is able to do these things, I think, is really good. I like his personal anecdote at the beginning with like how he used to see this, but he actually never got to the part where it got dark. So I think that was funny. And also, he doesn't seem completely ignorant about it. Like, he does talk about the Japan Anime Expo, and there's a sequel, and yada yada. Not going super in depth, but that's okay. I like the tease at the end where he's like, I really think I want to talk about animated music videos, because there's such a good variety to it. And as a general cartoon YouTuber and not like an anime YouTuber in the same way, he was like, oh, that includes gorillas, and I'm like, that's the tip of the iceberg, man. that's above the iceberg in terms of like surface, but that's fine. I think it's true. I think it's a good subject to talk about, and it's good to be holistic about it. Although the Japanese side of things, it's quite a dive. It's quite deeper than I think he might realize. I don't remember the term for it, but there is a term, and it's, if it's deep. It goes. There's a lot of it out there. But that would be exciting to see from him. But you know, it was just something kind of refreshing of how like, oh yeah, it is just on its face, bog standard kind of a me review. It's like sure, and I think he did pretty good with talking about it in a general sense. I literally just found this YouTuber before I started recording, and I found her because Jack is where I replied to her. I guess she's like in some Discords and stuff, and then yeah, she has a channel. She just hit 8K for this video, and she's really happy with her. I like how on her sleeve it is about her channel success and her growth and things like that. I do like that. And this is about psychological anime recommendations, and her channel name is inakyu. Sorry, inakyu. And yeah, I'm going into this. I'm just like, okay, new channels. I always like kind of scope out what they've done and scroll all the way down, see what they've done and stuff. And yeah, she recently she had a while ago kind of had an anime video blow up, and she's like, I guess that's my thing now. I'm like, fair. I certainly would. And yeah, I like how casual this is. I really like how low stakes and like here's a rattling off of different some recommendations and stuff. It's a little summary things of like it's about this character and this it's like this is great and it's very harrowing and it does. I don't think she's like super in deep at the same way, and that's fine. Like you don't have to be, but like at least she's seen Monster. At least she's recommending Monster in this psychological anime recommendation video. I don't think any of her picks were off color. Like they were like that, I think the closest to me would have been Parasite. It's a little more of a horror action thing than like psychological, but I think it's there. I think there's reason for it. It's also a little like a thriller, and there psychological and thriller kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, I was happy to see Monster. I was happy to see Lane. Although like Lane, she's just like, it's old, and I'm like, it's 98. It's not that old. I mean, I guess it's old in the grand scheme of things. It's all over 20 years old, I suppose. Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, that was like what? Let's see what like the oldest show that she's recommended, and I only checked out her anime like recommendations for anime fans, like for people who are already established anime fans, and I thought that video was actually really well structured, where she gave 3 picks per anime, and each anime was fairly different. And the oldest one in that batch, it seemed, was Yu Yu Hakusho from '91, which is it's pretty old. That's pretty good. It's Yu Yu Hakusho, but sure. Anyway, I mean, if you don't know who I am, I'm more. I've watched some stuff from the fucking 70s and 60s and shit, and I'm iceberg level. So I'm not expecting iceberg. I shouldn't, at least. But I'm just like, Lane, it's like, oh, it's old guys. I'm like, all right, listen. But I did appreciate the praise she gave for it, for sure. And the fact she's recommending it is great. Also, Perfect Blue is in '98. That's the same year. Wait a minute. And I don't remember her saying anything about Perfect Blue being old. Anyway, fair enough. No, I just like how like casual and personable she is, and how like easily producible these seem to be, but like they still really nice, like aesthetically. Like I think she knows her way around a camera and stuff, which is nice. Meanwhile, hi, I'm so cheap. I'm just recording this on my phone and shit. Whatever, it's fine. It feels like she is kind of like finding her footing, and like what is she? Her thing seems to be kind of in the recommendation type of thing, and there aren't a lot of YouTubers that are really going that, like throwing things out like that, because I think a lot of us are so in deep that that not a lot of us are thinking on that mainstream level. Of course, I think that's why it contributes a bit to her growth here, and how exciting it is to see her continue to grow, because she is someone who's deep enough, who's seen not the most surface level things. She doesn't seem like a normie in the same way, but she is thinking more in terms of like appealing to a more wider mainstream audience, in terms of like giving people recommendations based on certain things that they already know, whereas a lot of us, like myself, are a little too hipster to do that. I mean, I've had a recommendation video, but it was more like finding ways to navigate it yourself instead of like giving people it. But that was because I was a hipster and didn't want to just do what everyone else was doing. But I think, like, all things considered, I actually, you asked me if like I'm the kind of people who know a lot of anime YouTube. I actually don't know too many people who are doing this who are like, I mean, Bob certainly is, but he's doing more in like single reviews and like giving a lot of coverage in that way, but he's not rattling off a ton of them. I think he did that in the past, and that's why he doesn't do it as often anymore. And Tristan obviously has, but a while ago. And right now he's doing more seasonal stuff, first reactions, kind of, or discussion type videos. He's a lot more general and kind of settled, I guess. I don't know the word. And I like that it isn't focused on seasonals either in this particular case with recommendations. That's also really nice. I don't know. I think there's a good novelty to it, despite how it's like, well, duh. Like, it seems very like anybody would do that, but like actually no, not a lot of people are doing it. So I think it's really smart. Looking forward to more of it. And, and if you do other stuff, I think I'd be interested too. You seem like a good presence on camera and interesting vids. Cool. Yeah, I'm talking about another getinthemecha video. Like right at. I don't normally like to talk about 2 consecutive videos from an uploader and stuff, but you're talking about Kyoko Oriwa. Let's fucking go. I'm into that. Studying two anime OVAs from the early 90s. And yeah, he's talking about Kyoko Oriwa and Record of Lotus War. And I think it was cool to see this and to talk about it, because it is separate from his coverage of Heike Monogatari. Because Heike Monogatari, he focuses very much on like episode by episode and who storyboarded and directed certain things, and the heavy staff focus. It almost felt like a Sakuga bro on YouTube, which doesn't happen. like all those guys who were like credited and this and analyzing it in that way, they're not on YouTube. I don't know if I really verbalized that on coverage of his previous video, but I think that's what makes this really exciting and refreshing, is that someone who has that kind of passion for anime is actually vocalizing it on YouTube. I really respect and appreciate that. Honestly, I'd go for even longer stuff. I know it's like you probably do a lot of particular prep work, and so it would be hard to maybe make this long form, but I keep watching your videos expecting it to be like this must be a abridged cut to a 2-hour live stream, of like just talking about this stuff. I think it'd be, I don't know if you have the stamina or like the, if there's how much prep work goes into these sorts of things, but honestly, I've mentioned this in other places. I don't think I mentioned it. Like I mentioned the podcast length. I do think there's a novelty to it, but at the same time, very few people are live streaming anime content. Like they're maybe doing some tier lists or rank, or just playing video games or whatever. But like in terms of like talking about anime for an extended period of time like that in a studious or whatever, like maybe there's some Maldives and things like that. Those can be fun. But the kind of thing that you're doing, if you were doing like a live stream of this, that'd be interesting. I don't know if I'd be. It's one of the. I was gonna caveat it being like, granted, I might occasionally watch, but that's just me with how busy I am personally. But like, I think that'd be pretty cool and you'd be decent at it. But this particular analysis I thought felt kind of different, because you were talking more holistically about the whole shows of Kyoko Oriwa and Lotus War, and I think you had very good points. And I like the particular observations you were making about each of them. You weren't making a comparison or anything. It's just sort of like choosing two, and they just happen to be from the 90s and and they're OVA series, and yeah, I don't know. I like the approach you had with these. It wasn't so much staff focused, although you do mention the staff. I think it was more about like vibe. I like the point you made at the end about vibe and that sort of, and what is atmosphere and things like that. I liked hearing about that. No, yeah, I enjoyed it, I think. And again, the actual visuals to this are really economic. I'm just like surprised of just how effective it is really to just choose a couple of screen caps and use those as the visual representation of this whole point that you're talking about. Because to me it's hard to what the heck is that noise? I completely lost my train of thought. I am so sorry. Yeah, it was the fact that like you were able to take screen caps and just have that, because for me I would just be like, I have to have this whole thing. I have to have the whole clip or give a lot of this sort of thing. I don't know, it was interesting. that, yeah, okay, there's somebody picking us. I just can't be distracted by it. But that was the point I was making. Anyway, I did really enjoy this. It was really cool. And speaking of series that I'm just gonna talk about each time, I suppose, because I guess it's a significant upload in all things considered. But it's another anime alphabet from Ygg Studio. E is for Evangelion, the rebuilds, all the numbers and stuff. And I really liked the approach to this, where it wasn't as much of the similar as the other anime alphabets, where it's giving the whole context and everything, and then kind of talking about it in like describing the story in the same way. I think the approach to this one was refreshing. And I think it was just refreshing to hear Trixie talk about Ava again after a long time. I think she has a great, unique perspective on it. I especially liked that first half before she even started talking about the rebuilds, and kind of like giving a further, like an updated analysis of Evangelion. Because she's talked about how like she's analyzed this show multiple times and watched it multiple times, and each time there's something, it kind of evolves or does something different. And I really appreciate that perspective and her handling of Anno as the auteur, and that thorny issue and things like that. I don't know, and I think I really liked and appreciated that the toxicity that she seemed to have for 3.0 or 3.33 or whatever. It didn't bleed into this at all. Like, she actually has like good hindsight and was kind of talking about it very pragmatically, and didn't have as much bias against it or towards it. Just kind of explaining what it is and what it does and what it's a vehicle for. I thought that was like, it felt like very hands-off approach and impersonal. And I think the impersonal approach is kind of a really additive way to approach Evangelion, because I think if people get too caught up in the emotion of it and their personal feeling, I guess, then it'll just be like a little indulgent or very samey, like, because I think a lot of people do that. But this felt a lot more substantive and everything, and I didn't feel like it got to the point or like the core or like whatever, especially like 4.0. I just liked a lot of the kind of her very, I don't want to say surface level takes. It was more like plain. I did like it's sort of like clear, and like it's not trying to be this earth shattering, I figured it out, guys, you know, which I think can be kind of like overwhelming, I think, but at least for me personally, especially with Ava, where I feel like that's been done a lot, that approach. I don't know, there's something about this that felt very honest, especially where it's like, I don't really fully get I'm not here to really dive into the plot elements. I care more about the character dynamics and this and that and the other thing, which I do appreciate that honesty as well. Yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy this approach and this sort of thing. It was fun. It was a good time. I don't know, I'm sorry I don't have too much else to say about it. It was a good. Yeah. Oh, you know what? The one thing I was gonna say, I'd have to look at it a little closer, I suppose. But like, you did have to put the GIFs over the footage, the entire video, and I felt like my eyes just kind of just gravitated to staring at them as I was listening to, so there wasn't as much to the video itself. And I get it because of the copyright thing, but like, maybe because I had the video played at a particular speed or whatever, but like, it kind of seemed like you were just dropping whole clips in and you weren't doing the 5-second thing. Like, it did seem like a little, like there were points where I'm like, you literally just put the whole clip in and then put an Evangelion a TV series clip on top of that at one point, and then it just continued past the point, like that's how it was edited. I'm like, did you edit this? Did somebody else? This seems kind of like plug and play, and obviously you're going to get dinged for content. They're going to block your video, so then you have to put these kind of not as aesthetically pleasing GIFs on top of it. You know, I was just like, okay. Now, I mean, Kara is probably just like kind of a stickler regardless, probably, when it comes to Evangelion usage and clips and stuff. Fair. That probably would have happened regardless. But there were some moments, like kind of in the toilet when you're doing like the 1.0 stuff, that I was just like, this is just the movie that's like sped up a little bit. At least it seemed like that to me. The way it was being edited, I guess it wasn't chopped up in a smart way. That was just a slight inconvenience, irk thing. I was like, is it because you didn't? I don't know. And that's just a personal gripe, I suppose. But it really is. It's like you're delivering these in like text form as well. Like you don't really wholly mind if if the video isn't like amazing in a visual sense, because it's really just a matter of getting your perspective out there regardless. And I think it's because otherwise you wouldn't just plop the script on your blog or something. Anyway, but I still enjoyed it. It was a good time. And I did check out this hour-long clip. This is an excerpt from Bonsai Pop's podcast. This is not anime, it's karoshi. It looks like this big essay, like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? But it's an excerpt from their podcast. And I think Mike goes into a couple tangents. It's like you could have cut this up a little better, to make it more of a succinct excerpt, and I think Joe Rogan's done that a couple of times too when it comes to some of his clips. There's occasional times where he's cut out a little minute chunk or something like that. It makes it quick like that. I feel like this could have been a little more concise if you wanted it to, because I feel like this is kind of intimidating if it's not an anime and it's this hour 18 thing. It's a serious topic. So this is an excerpt from their podcast where they're talking about overwork and why people are in the United States are overworked and burnout. It is karoshi in the same sense, and I like that Mike's making this unique observation that karoshi exists in America, and that's because it's exacerbated by we're not getting paid enough and there's no these jobs and et cetera, and he's relating this mainly to his aunt that suffered a heart attack and then 2 strokes. I cannot fathom that happening to any. So I'm sorry that happened, and I'm happy she's recovering. It sounds like she's doing okay, but it's just a bitch and a half, and it sucks that this happened because of this, because she burnt herself out, because she was packed her whole schedule and things like that, and that's sort of encouraged in our system, in our society, and then it isn't supported when it inevitably collapses. And it's sort of venting in that way. And I think Tyler was also a very good. It's mostly Mike talking about this idea, and I think Tyler is a good bounce off point and giving additional like points about it. It covers a very wide range of things that I don't know if all of it is necessarily to do with like the idea of burnout. So I do think it could have been cut up a little bit, but like it's not a big deal. It is linking to a GoFundMe for Mike's aunt, just for them to like be able to manage, because she was a single mom and her kids need support at this time. And it's very up in the air and unsure right now, but just I recommend it, especially like it does dabble a bit into like YouTuber burnout as well, of course, and I think it's just a good thing to listen to as a creator too. Because it is hard to recognize something as burnout where it's just like, oh, I'm just tired. This person, Mike's aunt, didn't necessarily think it was burnout, and she didn't realize she had a heart attack until she was losing blood, like losing feeling in her leg because there was a blood clot in her leg and stuff. And it's like, oh my God. So it's just something I think it's interesting to reflect. So, after you listen to this, I recommend listening to this podcast. It was pretty good. Okay, now what I thought were the best videos of the week. The things I thought were that was great. I'm very happy with that one. Not too many of that one, but that's okay. I liked the other videos. Trust me. Trust me. No, but this first one is from Toadette, and I've talked about some of her videos before, but it's pretty much kind of the similar thing. But it is like kind of a once in a blue moon type of thing that this happens, and I always want to support it and shout it out. She subbed 2 more episodes of Manga Nippon Mukashi Banashi. If you don't know what that is, it's a over 1,000 episode show from the 70s where they're telling a Japanese folk tale or something, and very minimalistic with narration and one or two voice actors, or basically two voice actors pretty much. But the cool thing about it that makes it worth talking about and make it worth watching and interesting is that it's the staff behind it. There's so many really big names that have worked on these episodes, including Osamu Dezaki, and in this case, Gisabu Usugi worked on these 2 episodes. And so I have the episode 335 listed here, and I do respect that like Toadette puts the subs on by closed captions, so that you can turn them off if you want, and you can just experience it raw, which I think is an aesthetic choice, because you can really just like you focus more in on the visuals if you don't have to look at the below the third and what they were talking, how, like, what are they saying, sort of thing. And I think you can really follow this story very, very, very easily without subs. But still, it's really great that they are being subbed regardless, because some people might be curious about that, and it just makes it even a little bit more accessible. I would say that the subs, like, maybe it's just the way YouTube works with the closed captioning system, but like, I would have liked that the subs were a little more broken up, because they felt like they were taking up big chunks of the screen, because it was always big dialogue. They weren't broken up and like, oh, it's you, and like kind of broken up in a way that makes it a little more easier on the viewer to read. Not a big deal though. Again, I still think it's great that these are getting subs at all, and that it's being uploaded like this. And it's being uploaded in its entirety, the episode, because what's this show? Like, YouTube has no idea. It's not very popular, but that's okay. I'll enjoy the keynote. It's a fun episode. This particular one, I won't spoil what it is, but it's sort of like very cartoony and has a bit of tension to it, and reminds me of some other things. I enjoyed it, but I'm just happy Toadette's able to make these sort of things. So go support that, and maybe check out her channel for other similar episodes that she does. It's great. I'm assuming it's a she. I'm so sorry. Toadette, right? It's, in that case, I don't mean to assume, but yeah, go check Toadette out, guys. Honestly, this Dodgeball Z, TeamFourStar, they have done the CG like Hiffle little mini series. They have 2. This is the 3rd episode of that, and I don't think I've checked out the first 2. This feels like a very full length kind of mini, like a half episode of length of it, but like really sizable. Great. I actually really liked it. The art, with like, it's all CG, and like they're still taking the IP of the characters. I still don't wholly know what like they're very clearly not they're not doing the Dragon Ball Z abridged thing, maybe because they've explained it before, but like I can probably guess a part of it was because they don't have the rights to this series, and so like to the actual animation and stuff. But like the characters, they don't have the rights to them either. But like they're still doing it, and this is the big thing to me that made this kind of in the best category for me. It's just like they're really good at understanding these characters and the very snarky, engaging dialogue between the two, and like. Frieza and Cell never talked together in the show, to my knowledge. They don't have a history together or anything in the same way, and yet they're really able to find really good, snarky things for each of the characters, and they're very compelling characters. They have a lot of the bad guys and stuff. It's a good representation of things. I thought the pace of the episode is fun. They're just really good at this. They're just really good at Dragon Ball related content. This particular thing. And it's like their writing doesn't feel too different from everything else that they've done, but nothing else comes close to this. It's because a lot of the writing has to do with like intimate knowledge of the series and like really thoughtful, sharp, like really good dialogue. And I think when they're making something original, they don't have that established base, right? And so I feel like they don't shine as well in this. I think they're like the passion they have for this IP is really what carries this, honestly. Not to mention that I think that the actual animation CG is good. It's fully like lip synced and everything like that, which is typical for like the English side of things, because like we can't I think that's probably why why dubs aren't as liked in some places, because the dubs aren't matching the lip flaps in the same way, in the same way as an abridged might. And that's, I don't know. It is interesting, isn't it? I think that might be, it could be a implicit reason, perhaps. I couldn't tell you though. No, but like, it's so weird that they're so good at this, and then when they try to do anything else, I don't feel like it works. Or it's just not as successful or something. And it's not because I have some nostalgia for Dragon Ball Z abridged or anything, or like I'm not even a big Dragon Ball fan. It's just, you can tell there's very deliberate choices and passion and snark, and just they've done this, like they've practiced this. This is an actual skill that they built over years of doing Dragon Ball Z abridged at the time, you know. And then how much experience do they have with an original story? Not as much. So it's like you kind of have to keep trying and have something keep, you know, maybe it's not successful in the first episode or 2 episodes or 3 episodes, but you can't just stop it because it's not popular. In that case, like, I mean, you have to eventually, because it might be not returned to people genuinely just don't like it or something. Like, I get it. Like, it's Shonen Jump model, right? It has to actually kind of be somewhat decent, otherwise it's going to get axed. I get that. But like, there is such a thing as like getting better over the course of a period of time and improving your skill, I guess. I don't know. I just like to see more of like them taking an original IP. Like, Hitful is good, but it's, again, I'm worried that like this is only going to go so far because they don't own this IP. That's the only thing about it. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera, but but yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed this a lot. I thought I was just really impressed by it. But it just makes me think, it's like they really can't, like, where is this with literally, I feel like, anything else? I don't know. Oh well. And you know, I really liked Bess's video this week, probably the most. Mirai, celebration of moments. Very standard analysis review of Mirai, but I think it's bookended beautifully by anecdotes of her life when she went through in 2020, and the context of her watching this film, and then the context of her watching it a second time with her family. I think those were really the most impactful and interesting and like, I don't know, just original ideas. I think are really additive and cool. The way it was edited with a kind of a slideshow of images of like half-eaten cake and landscapes and things like just kind of general pictures, I think really gave a cool sense of personality and intimacy, I guess, into Bess's life. And I thought the actual like talking about moving out and her experience in the pandemic, like that whole thing is really great. Not a lot of us are willing to be that personal and intimate in our videos because we feel like there's not a place for it. But I think there was actually a good place for that in this video, because it does deal with so much with family and reflection and things like that. I think it fit really, really well. It also just makes sense that it was just so personal for her. And I like that she's like, I've since seen all the posted movies and I still think this is the best one. I'm like, that's a cool take. That's awesome. I haven't seen Mirai yet myself. I couldn't tell you why. But I thought it was really good. She does warn about spoilers, but I feel like she pretty much just talks about like the structure of the film being very, very Christmas Carol-ish, where like the character is meeting different characters and learning things along the way, type of thing. At least it seems like that to me. And Bess goes through that in a good amount of detail that I don't think many other people have. People have certainly talked about Mirai, but I think they make it a lot more surface level and overview. And I like how in-depth Bess actually went into discussing the film and even giving some Hosoda interviews and things like that, as well as incorporating his different movies and not feeling like this one's in like a special bubble or anything. Like it is within the wider context of his filmography. I just think it was generally really, really well done. And I liked it a lot. Really great job. Nice one. Yeah, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.